Welcome to the Fit Drivers Podcast, sponsored by PrePass. Only PrePass provides weigh station, bypass, and integrated electronic toll payment services, saving you time, fuel, and money while improving safety and efficiency in trucking. Visit prepass.com for details. Okay, everybody, welcome to another Fit Driver Podcast, where we try to bring you all the information that's very, very important to all of us about driver health and well-being and how critical the driver health issue really is. Really happy today to have a great guy with me, a friend and well-known in the industry. If you're on LinkedIn at all, you get to see some of his great production he puts up there. But I want to welcome Jason Douglas, top-notch recruiter and retention director. Jason, welcome to the program, my friend.
Hey, Bob, thanks for having me on. Happy to be here. But thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to let the audience, for those who don't know you, tell them a little bit about you, Jason. You got over 16 years experience in the transportation industry, holding various different roles, including dispatching, safety, recruiting, obviously. Justin brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the industry. He started in the transportation business in 2007 in warehousing and moving on to various different positions at that time. And but you know, the big thing about Jason is he's dedicated to ensuring the satisfaction and well-being of his drivers. He takes time to personally connect with each driver every month, addressing any concerns and issues they may have, making their life easier wherever possible. So, which is very core to the nature of the business, right, Jason? So,
Sure.
I'd like for you to take a few minutes here in the beginning, and I know you're, like I said, you're well dedicated to that. So talk to me about, how do you go about your steps on your method of action on making this kind of connection and keeping this door open for communication with your drivers?
Sure. I always say, good retention starts with good recruiting. So building that pipeline from the start is very important. Um, Obviously everybody has different personalities, so getting to figure out how to communicate and get them to respond back and talk to various different people and get them to kind of open up a little bit. um, Once you get personal with them and get to find out, what makes them tick. Somebody likes to fix motorcycles, somebody likes to collect model airplanes, whatever it is, genuinely be interesting in what makes them tick. I think that's what makes us all cool, is when we're not working, we all have a hobby or something that we like to do. So taking a genuine interest in somebody, um, drivers can tell. They can tell authenticity. Um, and I think that's what makes it fun, is because I enjoy genuinely finding about all these different people that drive across the country and come home and have 18 grandkids that they build chicken coops with, or whatever it may be. It's cool to find out everybody's story. So when you get to personally connect with so many different people and find out that thing that makes them tick, it's hard not to like everybody and find out, what's going on with them. So that's kind of what I do. um, I genuinely want to know about them. So as you build that connection and it gets stronger and you become, friends and coworkers, it really builds a bond, that's not only good for recruiting, but it's good for just workplace satisfaction, which is good on your mental health.
Well, very well said, and I can't agree more. I mean, a friend of ours, Leah Schaefer, she talks about all the time that, recruiting never stops, right? It's got to be ongoing, which sounds like that's your method of helping retention, right? And
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
yep. And and you're right, drivers, people don't realize that how perceptive they are. They can tell if you're genuinely interested, right? And so I know one of the things that from growing up that's why always brought me back to this business, because growing up to it, understanding the culture, how to relate to the drivers, and those things are important, because when you grow up in a family of professional drivers, what's important, right? And to your father, like mine, that was driving, So you learned how to understand more what their responsibility was, and you're right. Everybody's got different habits, and it's always great. That's the fun thing about, like you said, what you and I do. You get to learn all kinds of different things. I mean, that people don't realize that don't think that matter, but they really do to the driver.
Yeah, you find out that somebody's a woodworker or something, and they bring in some of the things that they build or create, or someone does web pages on the side. One of our drivers right now is he's going trying to get into law school, so he's been doing his undergrad or however that works before he gets into the final years of that. So people will surprise you. Sometimes drivers get a bad rap, but if you really stop and get to know them, they do some incredible things. So
Yeah,
I think sometimes rough around the edges, but finding their language and really getting to connect with them uh, really brings a new perspective.
I was telling somebody the other day. I'm I'm never amazed about when I meet an individual driver what their previous background was. I mean, I've met nurses, accountants,
Yeah,
people that were going to law school, and people had high level jobs in other occupations, but they said, they just got tired. They wanted to be on their own. They wanted to see the country, and they what they brought with them, they felt was a lot of discipline, and they could apply that to driving truck and being safe.
absolutely. And that's what's cool about it is all walks of life attract people that just like trucks. We all liked them as kids. We all played with trucks. My kids love trucks. Um, there's plenty of people that could go do whatever they want, but they just want to drive a truck.
Yeah,
Um,
it's,
that's where they feel comfortable. So it's cool to bring those type of people into the industry too, and they're just happy for a job that where they get paid well, respected, and home when you tell them they're going to be.
yeah. I forget. When I was young, one of the first jobs I really had working for General Motors, and which was at that time, that's a big deal, right? Making good money when you're 18 years old, working in plant. And
Hmm.
I stuck it out for about 2 years. I came home and told my dad one day I couldn't do it anymore, and I gave it up to go work for $5 an hour to drive a Uke in a gravel bank. I wanted to drive truck, so it was pretty bizarre. But so
Yeah,
based on
that's
your
right to the point.
right, so based on your experience, could you share with us what do you think are the top one, two, three reasons for driver turnover?
Uh, for one, it's home time. I people that aren't adapting are dying. If you're still at that model, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 3 days at home, your driver pool is shrinking significantly by the day. Um, your model has got to change. You got to figure out how to do turns or meet someone halfway or whatever it may be, or do teams or whatever your strategy is that makes sense for you. But the few new coming drivers to the industry, as little as there are, we got to keep them in the industry, and they don't want to do 3 to 4 weeks out. So I think home time is number one for sure. Um, in this market, number two would probably be miles. There's people, even when we're full or don't need drivers, I still like to pick up the phone and call just to see what's out there. And there's a lot of people sitting. It's a terrible, terrible freight economy right now. So if drivers are sitting, that's probably the number two reason easily in this industry right now. Um, Miles, that for most places they've shrunk significantly over the last 2 years because of this. We've never quite had a recession quite like this. For the country is doing all right and everything. There's inflation, and but the our freight market's just getting hammered.
Yeah,
Um, and then
tough.
the third one is just, I think, respect. I think respect is goes such a long way, and if the culture doesn't match with the people, you're gonna lose them. people like job satisfaction is a high thing that's up there. Through COVID, we had such a mental health spike that really became on the forefront of a lot of people. So job satisfaction is why people are leaving a lot of, they had the great resignation, and I think that was to look for job satisfaction. So uh, you got to take care of your people mentally and make sure that it's somewhere where they want to work. Because if not, they're going to go somewhere else where they're getting that job satisfaction.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'll tell you that's three valuable steps our listeners could relate to, I'm sure, and hopefully put into place if they're not. But I hear that in my conversations with drivers a lot, and then
Sure.
also in companies. Right? It's that home time. It's always up there at the top, right? I mean, who wants to be
Hmm.
away from me, right? And the time you get home, and I know back in the day, our dad was, gone all week a lot of times, and we knew when he got home, we used to count. We all kind of said, I'll give him 30 minutes. I'll give him an hour before he was good night, Irene, right? He's gone to sleep. He just couldn't stay awake.
Right.
He just, right. And before you know it, it's right back at it come Monday morning. So, but that home time is very, very, very important, no doubt.
It, and
So,
and those guys that do that, uh, the old school way of seeing you on the 4th of July and okay, see you at Christmas, those guys aren't around anymore.
no,
That's not the way it works. And um, so anyway, I didn't want to mean to cut you off, but
no, no, no. That's a
the
very good
market's
point.
changed.
Yes, like times change, and I've just in fact, thanks for bringing that up because I was doing a presentation a couple days ago. I was asked to be on a panel for CVTA, and what's one of the things I talked about? It's a different time, and if you want to, attract a newer population, demographic, whatever, then we'd be doing these folks a grave injustice if we didn't learn from the past, right? Just like what you said. Nobody wants to go out there and burn it up for 30 days at a time. Just like, you know, we need to do a better job of showing our drivers how to make better health choices out there on the road and take care of
Absolutely.
themselves, And so Jason, I know I really enjoy your your posts on social media, LinkedIn, and so forth. You always come up with some pretty creative stuff. Do you find that as a way that you use social media to recruit drivers?
Um, on Facebook, a lot of drivers typically use that. Um, I don't necessarily think I don't use it to recruit drivers, but it helps set a tone for culture. Because so many people come in here and they're like, "Oh, I feel like I know you," or their guard is already down and they're comfortable because they've watched videos. They know that I'm an idiot already, and like not don't take myself too seriously. So um, it's not all business, and so in a sense it helps very much with recruiting because it sets the tone for our culture, and people definitely come to Stokes Trucking for the culture.
Nice, nice, nice. I know my favorite one. I think I saw you do was you doing the one where what was you were hiding? Was it $50 in different
Oh
places,
yeah.
incentivized to make sure drivers were doing their pre-trip right? So,
Yeah, and we
uh,
we were watching one guy. He had $150 up between his truck and trailer, and he didn't find it. And after he got done, I said, "Hey man, come here." He pulled out and said, "You missed it, buddy. We're putting these on a different truck and trailer, but you had $150."
wow,
So,
wow.
but
I
stuff
got
like that, is fun to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it reminded me because one of the things that I'm really trying to make happen, because we know that pre-trip is something that when you're training drivers, you're engraved in their brain, right, to do. And I brought this up at CVTA that why not take it just one step further when you're doing that? And simple as maybe just pulling off a tab of paper and say, hey, here's a list of recommended healthier snacks to do a pre-trip refrigerator check before you pull out on the road, right? Because in the life and the times of a driver, they're going to get stuck out there today somewhere. And if
Yeah,
they don't have a good choice to reach for, they make a bad one.
sure. And we stock a basket here with there's fruit and granola bars and stuff like that. Um, Granola bars aren't the best, but they're better than other things. There's
Yeah.
healthier choices, or there's healthier versions of granola bars, but we try to have some fruit and some other things and some
Sure.
there's like these things you can get at Sam's Club that are mixed nuts and berries that we have in there for them to grab. We try to do some stuff like that, but I know, if we could adopt something where we could all have like meal prep or like something like Factor at our terminals. Exercising is great and it's a good that should be a give me, um, that we need to help our drivers with, because you can always walk around your truck and trailer no matter where you're at, no matter what's going on. Um, but helping them with food options, I think when as we overcome this epidemic, which I think it is, because they don't have those good options out there, uh, we really need to help provide those for them. I really think something like Factor, they're becoming more popular. If we can get something like that in our terminals, either in a vending machine or if we can get a fridge full and provide it for them as a perk, they could take two or three on the road with them, things like that, um, are really going to help move the needle. Because you know as well as I, Bob, is when you're eating good and feeling better, it's a lot easier to add the other habits on top of that, like drinking water and walking, and
Sure.
success begets success. So as you start doing one thing, it snowballs into to others. So I think uh, it starts with the hardest part, and that's what you put in your mouth.
Man, I tell you, God, you couldn't said it any better than that, my friend. And I know you're a big believer in health and wellness, and I know I come from the fitness background, but I learned a long time ago it really is what you put in your mouth, right? There's no magic to it. What you put in your mouth and some movement. And in the trucking life, it's tough for the movement part to come in outside the basic things of walking. They really don't have the time. But if we can help them, just I tell all the time, just give me 50% of a better choice each time to make a small difference, because that'll make a difference in their DOT regulations and so forth. And you led into my next question was you think that as an industry we can do more to educate our drivers. I know we spent a lot of time on, of course, talking about safety and go backwards and do all those things. But man, it doesn't mean anything if they can't keep their license, from their physical standpoint. And it sounds like that you're a big believer in that.
Absolutely. You start to see diabetes, blood pressure, blood sugar, all this stuff that plays a factor into it, and people getting 1 year passes because of it, and then sleep apnea machines in the truck, and all of that's due to weight gain and unhealthy habits out on the road. So I do think that we can. There's a big movement. You're a pioneer and at the forefront of that, and people like Dr. Mark McNamara and Jeremy Redner with Project 61, and um, there's some heavy steam coming, and some people that are pretty popular out there. All you guys doing and getting other people like me that just want to be a part of it. Um, we could really make some change. I think, I hear people doing more foods and stuff, and I really think if we could do something, even like that meal prep stuff at truck stops, maybe we can make a movement of that. It takes drivers to eat it, but heck, if they start buying it, they'll stock it. And so
Yeah.
awareness and availability are two things that we need to work on. However that happens, I don't know. But I think that's probably where we start.
Well, point was, in fact, Jeremy and I met yesterday and we're talking and about the whole position of that, and I tell him about a new project I'm working on, and hopefully have a fine tune here another by Women in Trucking. But I always felt like that, orientation meals, right, lunches, because coming at it from a standpoint of education, and I've talked to a lot of companies about orientation, they always say, well, I just don't have enough time to put in a presentation, 30 minutes or an hour to talk about health. So I came up with this idea that we're going to be introducing. It's an orientation lunchbox, right, for the drivers, a healthier box. And so they're already spending money for lunch, right? And so instead of buying them stacks of pizza, provide one of these lunch boxes. And then inside the lunch box is a healthy sandwich, a protein bar, some fruit, different choices with education information, right? On
Awesome.
how you can
Yeah.
make the choice. And so you're already spending what, $8, $10, whatever it is. And so these are price point that all I'm asking is for them to 1 day a week, substitute it for one of these healthy boxes, and it's a start. And like you said, it all has to start somewhere, and hopes it gains some traction. But like I said, at the end of the day, the driver's got to do it and eat it. But it's good. It's with a couple companies out of Omaha that have a good background, produce good food, good product, and hopefully that will make some impact, like you said, and start to spread the word.
That's awesome. You'll have to send me some information on that.
I will. I
One
will.
thing that, uh, I never hold anything back. I like to share anything that I can to help the industry get better. And one thing that Stokes has done here is part of our insurance, there's a wellness app that's tied to that, and they get points for
Yeah.
things that they do, such as sleep, drinking water, steps in a day, exercising, yoga, meditating, both body and mind wellness things, and they get points for it. And if you meet your level of points, you can get up to $300 on your HSA card every month.
Nice.
So, um, it's not where I want it to be, as far as participation goes, but it's a start. You keep pushing that. I know once you start getting that money in there, you just got to get that ball to roll. Then once it hits, then you do all you can to keep that happening. But it's a start.
It all starts, you're right. It all starts somewhere, and at least, and I think for me, it's always what I hear the most about is that it's comes part of the culture, and the drivers do appreciate it, and it's very interesting because I know that when I'm at a particular site and a driver comes up and says, "Bob, I really I need some help. I need to lose this weight." And I always ask when they inquire about that, my first question is, why today, Jason? What made you decide today you wanted to do something, right? And I'm 9 times out of 10, which I'm sure you'll relate to, it's because they were home that weekend with the grandkids or the daughter or whatever, and one of them said, "Grandpa, are you going to be around to walk me down the aisle?" It's always has to do with the family, right? And even though we all know you should do it for yourself, but in the driver's space, it's about, because they're the ones that take care of the family, and when they lose that license, it's collateral damage.
Yeah, it is. And motivation comes and goes, right? And it certainly is easier to lose motivation after 11 hours in the driver's seat. I don't blame them for that lifestyle because the job makes it very hard. 11 hours in that seat, you don't really feel like going for a run or whatever it may be, or parking
Sure.
at a gym. There's not enough facilities out there. So purpose really has to take place of motivation for it to happen. If you find your purpose and your why, then it doesn't matter if you have motivation or not. You're still gonna to go through with it. So I think helping drivers and other people like find that and really connect with their why, um, will help make move the needle.
Great, great. Well, Jason, I can't thank you enough, and I also thank PrePass, my sponsor, for helping me make these podcasts available and get people on like yourself to talk about what you do, and certainly your passion for the driver, not only their health and wellness, but their safety, and doing as good as they can, be the best person they can be at their job, right? So I thank you so much, and
Absolutely.
I'm a fan of yours, and I appreciate it, and I hope to see you down the road soon.
Likewise, my friend. Thanks for having me, Bob.
You bet, buddy. Bye bye.
All right. See you later.
Only PrePass provides way station, bypass, and integrated electronic toll payment services. Visit prepass.com for details.